Welcome back to another video from the Debate Room podcast. We're coming to you after the Chiefs and the Chargers game, and we'll also be recapping the Eagles and Cowboys game. So, two rivalry games to begin the NFL season. One was in Philly, the other one was in Brazil. A Thursday night game and a Friday night game. So, uh, yeah, that's basically what we're going to be recapping today. The Chargers beat um, the Chiefs for one of the rare times in Patrick Mahomes' career, and the Eagles beat the Cowboys. So we're going to recap both of those games. Make sure you guys like the video, share the video, and leave a comment as well, because that helps us with the algorithm, with the growing and people viewing our videos. And also, make sure you guys but follow us on our social media platforms up at the top of the screen as well. Really, really emphasizing you guys to subscribe. It takes a few seconds, it's free, and it really helps us get on the algorithm. But we're going to start off tonight with Justin Herbert leading the Chargers to a win over the Chiefs. Last year, he ended his season off really badly with that 4 interception game against the Texans, and it led to a offseason of talk from a lot of fans about where he stands in the league and what he's accomplished so far. So I think he made a statement tonight against one of the best teams in the league. 300 yards. I think he had like 330 total yards, 3 touchdowns. Herbert was damn near flawless tonight. I don't think he might have missed a few throws deep down the field, but he was amazing. I'll get into my whole spiel when it's my turn. But I'm gonna start with Q. What do you think Justin Herbert proved tonight in week 1 of this NFL season? If there's anything he can't prove in week 1.
I don't think, based on like public perception, there's anything that he can prove tonight in this week 1 regular season game against the Chiefs. But based on like how they treat him in terms of like big games, quote unquote, I guess he doesn't show up in big games, whether that be playoff games or big regular season games. Well, this is a big regular season game, and from the moment that they started the game, he was been on one. They made it an emphasis to throw the ball around. He was throwing it all over the field, whether it completed or not, drops, whatever penalties, he still was just slinging it. I would say they still ran the ball, but this was really the Justin Herbert show against the AFC champions. It's great game. If this not like a precursor to anything that's going to happen in the playoffs or anything like that, but obviously you see the full talent on display, and obviously the wide receiver core is still lacking. But Quentin Johnson was good. He was good tonight. He was good, decent last year. Obviously, his rookie year was he was a bust, but it wasn't hard to beat that bar. But he cleared that bar, then cleared the bar based off what it's looking like. Cleared that bar just tonight, just alone. Ladd McConkey did Ladd McConkey things. Keenan Allen showed the chemistry that they always had. He showed up big. It was a good game all around for everybody. Mario Hampton was okay. He had a rookie mistake.
I think he had like 3 yards per carry. But
I'm in terms of like running and catching, like 70 total yards is decent. It's whatever. It's still the Chiefs. It was like, did your thing. Hopefully they'll get adjusted. You start hitting stride later on. But it's a good win for them. Good way to start off the season. The Rashawn Slater injury made people, second guess the Chargers. Joe Alt looked good right there at left tackle. So I think they should be fine. They don't need a great O-line. They just need a solid one. And I think Joe Alt at left tackle can give you the same thing, damn near the same thing Rashawn Slater was giving you. So they should be fine. Very impressed with Justin Herbert tonight. Not nothing I didn't already know though.
I think this game was a reminder, and it should be a reminder to everybody of how great Justin Herbert is. I think people over-index way too much on his playoff performances. He has a 2-game playoff sample. To act like those 2 games define who Justin Herbert is as a quarterback, I think is stupid. I don't think it's smart whatsoever. I'm not saying they mean nothing, but I consider them games. I don't put a lot of emphasis on those games whatsoever. It's 2 games out of he's in like year 5 or 6. He's in year 5 or 6. He has like 70 plus other games of great film, great tape, great stats like great play. All of his regular season success in terms of him individually outweighs that playoff struggles by a lot. It's not even close. He has a 2-game sample. So for people to over-index on that sample and to act like he's not a top 5 quarterback because of those games, I think it's dumb. For some reason, people just throw out all context when it comes to Justin Herbert sometimes. He's throughout his career, he has struggled with bad offensive line play, bad play calling, bad defense. His receivers have not been healthy. They've struggled with drops, or they just haven't been that good whatsoever. So Herbert, yes, Herbert gets a lot of excuses. Like Herbert's context gets explained as excuses when it's just literally just context. Throughout his whole career, mostly the defenses have given up the same amount of points as the offenses. So how do you expect them to make the playoffs, perform well in the playoffs if his defense has been historically bad, if his coaching has been historically bad? I think he's clearly a top 5 quarterback in the league. The way he processes the field is special. His arm talent is special. He's really accurate as well. A really, really good decision maker. He can move in and outside the pocket. He can make throws on the run. He can make throws that only maybe 5, 6 guys in the NFL can make. Like, he's one of the most talented quarterbacks, I think, in NFL history. And the only reason people push back on that is because of 2 playoff games. And I think that's not smart whatsoever. It's like the larger overarching regular season sample just doesn't go away when we get to the playoffs, bro. That's not how it works. So he was great tonight. I think he processed the field really well, got the ball out on time. I would imagine he had a lot of big time throws. And Greg Roman, I want to talk about Greg Roman, who's historically got a lot of shit as a play caller, especially in those late Lamar years. I think that's probably the best game I've seen called from Greg Roman, honestly. Like from what I watched, it was amazing. People expected them to run a lot like they did last year at the beginning of the year, but he gave Herbert the freedom to pass the ball. The plays, like the way he reacted to what the defense was throwing at him was really good. A lot of stuff like hitches, like easy completions to get Herbert in the flow of the offense, and then it was a lot of like digs and stuff like that that he got him open looks at, and the routes he gave Lad McConkey and Keenan Allen in the soft spots of those zones was just great play call. And then you see Quentin Johnson on like deep crossers, or I think he had a corner too that he executed well. Quentin Johnson was great tonight. Hopefully he can keep that up. And if he can, I think we'll have to think a little bit higher of the Chargers like weapons room. Keenan Allen, I don't think he's a player he once was, but we got to remember before he went to the Bears, he was on pace for like 1,600 yards or something like that before he went out with injury. His chemistry with Justin Herbert
coming off a Pro Bowl season. Like he got hurt, but still was like a Pro Bowl level player.
His chemistry with Justin Herbert, even if he's not the level of player anymore, is the most important thing in that duo. And he's not going to really beat man anymore, but he's just excellent in zones. He's probably one of the smartest receivers in the league. So if he can get in that soft spot in the zone, you don't lose smarts. You lose burst. You lose like speed and all that type of stuff. Like maybe you won't be as physical as you age, but like just settle in the soft spots of zones. He's still I think a pretty good route runner. He's just not going to beat press all the time. What? You don't think he's a good route runner anymore?
I would never put Keenan Allen below a tier that puts him in the pretty good a route runner. Like he's an elite. He's still an elite route runner. Like whether that,
I'm not about to argue with. I'm not about to
argue. I think he's still an elite route runner.
It's much harder for him to beat man now. And it was much harder for him to beat man even in that Pro Bowl year. Like his numbers against man weren't great. And that I think his superpower, as it's always been, but not even more, is like just beating zone all the time. And he can still beat what's called players in the slot and stuff like that too, though. So I mean,
he's still a secure catcher. Like so, as long as he can still run a route, his hands are still. Aside from that drop we seen today, he's still like one of the most sure-handed like receivers that we've ever seen. Like recently. But like, I'm not harping over like that much.
Yeah. So I applaud Greg Roman for allowing his superstar quarterback to just put the game in his hands, and Herbert delivered.
He
Like,
was less robotic. That's one of the drawbacks that I guess like the stigmas with Justin Herbert. Like he plays too like mechanical. He was letting it rip. He was moving around. Heard some people call him just strictly a pocket passer today. Clearly, that wasn't what it was. He was moving in the pocket, out the pocket, scrambling to the left, to the right. Using his legs, not even just to run, just to like extend plays. He was doing everything today.
yeah, the running game wasn't as good as it. Well, I mean, he had times last year, but Amari Hampton, he looked, yeah, he did do some good work in the passing game. But as far as on a run, I think he bit some holes, and I think also the Chiefs did a good job today against the run. And I want to talk about the Chiefs a little bit though. I think a big part of Herbert's performance is they weren't able to create pressure really, really well at all, especially until like the second half. Second half, Spags, he just starts in the more like corner blitz, more disguised blitz. But their edge rushers really weren't getting home. Like Chris Jones has a few plays, but outside of that, they really weren't getting home. And I know they do have an injury on the defensive line. I'm blanking on his name right now, but yeah, that could definitely be a problem for them this season. I think their cornerback two situation is not the best. I used to think highly of Jalen Watson. Now I do not. Like he let us on really big plays today. I think McDuffie was uncharacteristically like just okay today. He had some good plays, obviously, but I expect better from him. I expect better from Spags. But he had to like actually um manufacture more blitz packages in that second half to get some pressure because Justin Herbert was just sitting back there all day. I think the Chargers offensive line did pretty good today. Mekhi Becton was able to play, so that was a good sign for them. Yeah, so the Chiefs defense they got murdered tonight. It's probably like 400 yards of offense, somewhere close to there. So they're gonna need to be better. They're gonna need to be better for sure going forward. I think their offense it started off bumpy. Their first 2 or 3 drives they went 3 and out. I think it was the first two drives they went 3 and out, and then Mahomes got it going. Mahomes early missed some deep ball opportunities. It seemed like they tried at the beginning of the year getting back to the 2022 version of themselves, trying to dial up some deep shots, and they were open. Mahomes was just missing them, and he's been a much worse deep passer over the last 2 seasons, in 2023 and 2024, since he lost Tyreek Hill. And I think obviously a lot of him being a great, deep ball threat is one, how they regard him, and two, it's like Tyreek Hill is one of the best trackers of the ball in history. And it was a lot of those deep passes were just Tyreek Hill coming back to the ball, Tyreek Hill making a crazy catch. And I mean, a lot of them were Mahomes like great throws too, but a lot of those were like wide receiver like stats. Like wide receiver play kind of makes up like deep ball passing. A lot of that was like just Tyreek Hill adjusting to the ball, and he doesn't have it anymore. So not only did they stop throwing it as much as people play too high and adjusted to Mahomes and Chiefs style of play, is that he hasn't been as accurate whatsoever on those deep passes. So that's something that he will have to improve on, and that's the beauty of it. Him being, I think, the greatest quarterback ever. Well, I'm sorry, the best quarterback ever. In terms of talent, he still has things to improve on. And it's going to be a little bit harder now because that Xavier Worthy injury, he's obviously a deep threat, and he's out for an extended period of time. You already lose Rashee Rice. I wouldn't like. I would almost. They're not going to do it, but I would inquire on trading for a receiver. They're not going to do it because they probably know they can still like manufacture offense without those two guys. But their weapons room without Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy is bleak, like to say the least. Hollywood Brown showed some juice tonight. Thornton got open on some plays, and Mahomes missed him at times. But I'm not. If Hollywood Brown is my wide receiver 1, Juju Smith-Schuster is my wide receiver 2, and Thornton is my wide receiver 3, Travis Kelce looks like a shell of himself. It's like it's not looking good as far as their offense, and they got a big game next week against the Eagles. I think they play the Ravens in this early stretch too. So
And the
They
line.
they could start off really bad if they don't make a move, or if the defense doesn't come to play like it did last year. So not ready to press panic yet. They'll be fine. But if Worthy is out for an extended period of time and their defense can't get pressure, in their cornerback two situation, like if Washington doesn't start to play better, then it definitely could be cause for concern because of how hard their schedule is to open up the year. But yeah, that was pretty much my takeaway from the entire game. They had a chance late down the stretch to tie the game up, I believe. No, it would have been down 3 or something like that instead of being down 6, I think. And
They had a chance to tie it up, missed a 2-point conversion.
A lot of really bad mistakes tonight. We got to talk about that too. A lot of penalties. Juwan Taylor had like 5 by himself. I don't like Juwan.
There was a point in time where they had more penalties than points.
Yeah, I don't like Juwan Taylor. It was like Harrison Bucker, uncharacteristic missed kick. Juwan Taylor, I wouldn't say that's uncharacteristic. He always getting penalties. He set them back. The red zone offense was bad last year, and this game was also bad. So they need to clean it up, and that's because Travis Kelce isn't the red zone threat he was like 2 years ago. So, not feeling the greatest about the Chiefs right now. I mean, so basically it's only week 1, obviously, so won't overreact. We will do some week 1 overreactions, week 1 takeaways on Monday or Sunday. But yeah, good win for the Chargers. Chiefs got some things to clean up going forward, and they got a really big game against the Eagles. Luckily, the Eagles aren't. I don't think the Eagles. We'll talk about that in the next segment. I don't think the Eagles are as strong as they were last year. So, you talked about the Chargers and Justin Herbert. What was your impressions of the Chiefs in week 1?
The Chiefs, it kind of looked, and obviously based off like due to like off field things and Worthy going out on the first play of the game, like first drive of the game, I guess was you didn't have your full complement of receivers, which they also didn't have last year. Like at any point of the season, like maybe things as long as Rashee Rice is who he was at the end of that 2023 season, they should be fine once he gets back. We think, but this is a hard stretch. If they could just get through the stretch 3-3 ish, they should be fine. Obviously they're behind the 8 ball now because the Chargers got one up on the division, and Denver, we expect them to beat the Titans. So now they're possibly looking at being 4th going into week 2. Obviously it's only week, so it doesn't really matter. You can make up the ground. But yeah, it was pretty underwhelming through like a half of football, and then Patrick Mahomes did some things. He scrambled, used his legs. I think he played great. The box score and the eye test showed that he did everything he could. Obviously, penalties messed up the whole flow of the game.
Drops.
He had that scramble for the touchdown. He had Kelce on that one touchdown up the sideline. Then he got that scramble on. I think what was that, like 4th and like 7 or something like that. He hit? I think that was Marquise Brown. So like he was doing his thing. They got into the red zone, they couldn't capitalize. Obviously, had to settle for 3. They already had missed a field goal and missed a 2-point conversion, so they could have been up 1 at that point as long as they converted on those other 2 special teams plays. Just some missed opportunities. I think they should be fine. Wouldn't be too worried whether they win the division or not. I still expect this team to make a playoffs, and if we get into a playoff setting, we're not picking anybody other than Patrick Mahomes, pretty much. Like, so I don't think like this week 1 regular season matchup really meant too much. Like, obviously, they're gonna play it up, internet talk shows. They're gonna do what they do with that, but it's okay. Obviously, again, they didn't have their full cast of receivers. I think this team, if they want to really continue this thing and get it going, I think they need to shift philosophy. I think they need to trade for a real running back, like get a real running game going on just to like take some pressure off. Because they're relying on Mahomes' arm too much. If you got a real running back, things would be a lot better. We said before we recorded, I think they whiffed that. The biggest whiff was taking Clyde Edward-Helaire over Jonathan Taylor. They had JT right now. I feel a lot comfortable. Like they probably would have. They'll be really a powerhouse. Either that or getting another type of wide receiver in the building. Maybe you can get a Tyreek Hill back, depending on what the Dolphins do. But I think they got some things to figure out, some things to talk about, some pieces to add come trade deadline. I think things will look a little different this year. I think Brett Veach knows he can't just like stay pat and just like focus on what's inside the building.
Yeah, I would. I mean, it is obviously only week 1, but there's some concerns on this team for sure. We went over it. Without Rasheed and without Worthy, their offensive weapons are terrible. They have no running game, and it's been like that for a while. Like Isaiah Pacheco, not a good running back. Kareem Hunt, not a good running back. He's okay. He's like okay situationally. Travis Kelce is, I think, washed to this point. Um, I don't know how they're going to get pressure on the defense. I think their cornerback 2 situation is questionable for sure. Juwan Taylor in the offensive line has some questions. They have a lot of questions, and I don't want to overreact. I don't, Q, but they don't feel like surefire as they have in other seasons. Does that make sense? They don't feel extra. Huh?
I don't particularly feel that way, but I think that we overreact. Like the same things happened before. Like they've been blown out in a Super Bowl before due to the same type of reasons, not being able to block Patrick Mahomes, not giving them enough time to dial up deep shots, things like that. And then the next year they didn't make the Super Bowl because they lost in the AFC Championship game. If their worst seasons are losing the Super Bowl or losing in the AFC Championship game, that's wins, that's W's. That we condition ourselves to think like they have to win the Super Bowl or not. Like that's still like on pace to be the GOAT. You know what I'm saying? Tom Brady went 10 years without winning a Super Bowl. If Patrick Mahomes goes in the next 10 years goes to 7 Super Bowls out of 10, he still has done more than Tom Brady. Like at that same amount of time. Like they're gonna be fine. If they lose in the second round this year, whatever. Obviously, money comes off the books. You got more draft picks. You could start spending a little bit more money, influx some talent, not rely on young guys all the time, and things will be a little different. And Patrick Mahomes is gonna be a more seasoned person. Like he's gonna get better, obviously through in the mental part of things as the physical starts to decline a little bit. He has a long runway. They could play till they're 45 now. We've seen it happen. Whether he's gonna be a all pro, second to MVP, 43-year-old like Tom Brady, and that doesn't really matter as long as he's able to pick up most of the slack in the beginning like he has already. The Chiefs, I'm not worried about them. I don't really care if they win or lose the Super Bowl this year. I just think as long as they have a great regular season from Patrick Mahomes, I think they're fine and nobody really will say anything about it.
All right, let's move on to the Eagles. They escaped a win versus Dallas. Won 24-20, I believe. After CeeDee Lamb dropped that crucial pass. Two crucial passes on their last drive. I think we both expected this game to be close, and it was. Just off the fact that I actually picked the Cowboys as a hot take earlier, like a few weeks ago, because we recognized the Eagles aren't the same team as last year. But they did just sign Darius Smith, who was relatively great last year, I think. With 9 sacks, really high pressure rate for his role. So they already made improvements on an area where we think they need to improve on. And for their depth, that's amazing. But as far as the game, though, Q, what did you make of the Cowboys in their first game without Micah Parsons?
I thought this game went kind of exactly how I thought it would went. Obviously, give or take, before the snap ejection from Jalen Carter, like you got to take the butterfly effect. Obviously, Jalen Carter wasn't there, but CeeDee Lamb had uncharacteristically 3 drops in crucial moments of the game. So it's like things kind of evened out. Either way, they were in Philly, ring night, at the link. It's an away game, division rivalry. My whole thing with this, and I was saying it, especially leading up to the game, everybody in their mind, from internet to Discord, us, like people talking, TV talk, Cowboys gonna get blown out. and I stood pat on my belief based off just data that we've collected through basically 10 years of time. Dak does not get blown out in divisional games, no matter. And it's not like clearly, like, take the Washington and the Giants out of it, specifically the Eagles. He has a winning record against the Eagles, and they've always pretty much had a better roster, whether it was the Carson Wentz Eagles or the Jalen Hurts Eagles. Like, I'm not saying he wins all the games, but he doesn't get blown out. It's usually 3, 4, 5 point either wins or losses. Like, that's just always how it's going. And obviously, we never got they didn't get to play that team last year. But that team last year, even as talented as it wasn't running through the league, blowing everybody out. They had like a couple of blowouts here, whether the quarterback was bad or not. But then everything was pretty much one-score games. They went to the playoffs. First 2 games weren't blowouts. Obviously, the Super Bowl and the NFC Championship game were blowouts. So that's what we were left with. And that's what we thought that Eagles team were. But obviously, through the offseason, they lose about 10 guys that was like real contributors to the team. Obviously, you still have your main culprits on defense, but they're not the depth is gone. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're not there. So you lose Jalen Carter. Now you put a lot of pressure on your young guys, and those young guys are pretty much unproven. They're either first or second year players, and we don't know what they're going to look like without that stud in the middle. So he was gone. QM, a lot of pressure on him. Obviously, great draft pick last year. You saw it today, especially manning up with somebody that's going down the field as physical as George Pickens is. You get grabbed, you get handsy, get flags thrown. It's a little different, especially when you have a real quarterback throwing the ball, not what's his name? Whoever the Cooper Rush. You know what I'm saying? It's just a little bit different. Like, I thought, like, the Eagles, they lost talent, so they still probably have the best roster in the league, but the ancillary parts, they're not the same as last year. Like, Josh Sweat was a real contributor. Milton Williams was a real contributor. Darius Slay may have fell off. He was still a real contributor. He would have done better than Adoree Jackson. Adoree Jackson was getting fried. CeeDee Lamb cost him I think probably cost the Cowboys a game. A couple drops that either could have led to interceptions or could have led to touchdowns. They're just all out of whack. I think Dak played a great game, damn near perfect game. The box score won't show it, but you clearly see he was throwing dots out there, and people just weren't making the plays. Miles Sanders, big fumble. I think the little suspension kind of messed up momentum, but I think people overrated the Eagles, depth a little bit, and I think we underrated as a collective, underrated the Cowboys as a team. Like, they may not be like the top 10, tier talent, but if you have a top 10-ish starting level quarterback, you're not going to be like a 5-win team. Like, that's just not what it's going to be. That's never been in Dak's history. If he's healthy, he's going to win you at least 8 games, and this is a division matchup. I thought it was going to be close, and it ended up close.
Generally, I want to say this when I was thinking about what I was going to say about this game. I feel like your opinion on Dak Prescott is a bald nose litmus test, man. This quarterback is obviously like pretty great. I feel like as I've learned more about football and like actually like pay more attention to football, it's like clear like Dak is a great quarterback. He showed that in his game versus the Eagles. I think he was very cerebral. I think he's one of the best pocket passers in NFL. He's the best at reading the field. He's the best. Well, not the best. I'm sorry. He's one of the best at reading the field. He's one of the best at going through his progressions. And it's got even better as his athleticism has declined over his career because of like injuries and stuff like that. Every year he's on the field and he's healthy. He pushes out top offenses. He plays well. They get wins in the regular season. Like, I think Dak is a stamped top 10 guy. And he should be talked about. He should be talked about like he's a top 10 guy. Now he's not in the upper echelon of QBs. He's not like top 5 or nothing like that. But he's a consistently great quarterback when he plays. He's not good enough to like put you over the top by himself. But I think you build a roster around him competent enough that he can deliver you a Super Bowl. Now, he doesn't have the best playoff record, which is something I criticized him for in the past, and I still will. He definitely needs to show up better in big games because I feel like they've had opportunities to go to an NFC Championship game, and he hasn't played up to par when he has the requisite weapons or requisite defense, and they just need him to play a little bit better, and he hasn't. So my biggest thing with Dak is just his playoff performance. I'm not gonna lie. Like over the course of the regular season, he is one of the best in the league, year in, year out. So he'll need to have more signature playoff performances and eventually get over the top to really get recognized for how great of a quarterback he is. But I know what I watch in the regular season, and what I watch in the regular season is a darn good QB. He's not the most talented quarterback in the league. He doesn't have the best arm in the league, the best arm talent. But he's consistently great. And I think that's what he kind of showed and when you go on primetime games like this, when in the first game of the season, I think a lot more people get an appreciation for that. Because he was dicing up the Eagles defense. Like you said, it didn't show. I think he only had 188 yards passing.
He had 188 yards, and his passer rating was a 77.
Yeah, like
look at the box score. That's not good. If you watch the game, you clearly know he was way better than that. They left 110 points, 110 yards, and a touchdown on the field. Like CD did that alone.
Yeah,
that's not including a Jake Ferguson drop, like a Miles Sanders fumble that could have led to another touch. Like, go ahead, did they?
I think the Cowboys offense is going to be potent this year, and they're going to have to be. They're going to be on the field a lot more, I think. He has George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb. The running game looks to be a little bit better than what it has been in the past over the last few years. So I picked Dak as my dark horse MVP candidate, and I do think there's a chance that he can get them to the playoffs. I do think so, just because of how good their offense is going to be. If their defense can be closer to average, they're going to be there. I don't really remember how Kenny Clark played, but I do remember the play where he did.
He actually played very good.
Yeah,
very
like
good.
That was like a general feel I got. Like from I was editing, and I wasn't like locked in on the game. As far as like watching a pass rusher, but it felt like he made some plays out there. The defense in the first half was terrible, but they dialed up some blitzes in the second half to get Jalen Hurts like flustered and create pressure. I'll talk about that in a few seconds, but yeah, Matt Eberflus, terrible performance in the first half. Second half, he felt like he had some sense. He always just like sitting back in that zone and being so complacent. And you cannot do that with this team. They don't have the talent, so you need to be super aggressive. You need to like try to create pressure.
If you watch what he did in the first half, he called it as if he had Micah Parsons on the team.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Then he realized, it
was like four man blitzes and stuff like that. Yeah.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? 4-3, that's what Micah's thriving. He was calling it like he had Micah Parsons still. Then he realized, wait, damn, I don't got Micah Parsons. So now I got to switch up on my blitz, and that was putting Jalen Hurts in them third and longs because they started winning more on first and second down and putting them in those situations. And Jalen Hurts either couldn't make the play or he ran. You know what I'm saying? Like Jalen Hurts he did his thing. When we talk about the Eagles, we'll get there. But all in all, talk about the run game. The interior O line played well. Obviously, again, no Jalen Carter, take it with a grain of salt, but they still played well. Like Tyler Smith still is an All Pro. Cooper Beebe, second year player. Tyler Booker, rookie. They played well together. They was able to get some push, get the run game going. Like you said, Kenny Clark played well. When he was on the field, all rush plays was limited to 2 yards per carry. They pretty much shut down Saquon. I'm not gonna say they shut down AJ Brown, but he didn't get no separation. Also, he ain't got a target till the end of the game. Game was in the balance pretty much the whole time. I think if you could look at this performance, I think a lot of people pretty much had the same sentiment like today that played well, and maybe we were too hard on the Cowboys as a collective. Like maybe they can, maybe not make the playoffs, but can still compete. I think they're gonna make the playoffs. But yeah, there's no reason why you can't. You can look at this team when what they did to like the Jalen Carter may not have been there, but the whole Eagles offense was there the whole game. Like that offense was still there. Those two receivers were still there. Saquon was still there. O-line pretty much was still there. Obviously, Landon Dickerson went out, but you still got 3 other Pro Bowlers, 2 All Pros on that offensive line.
And people were posting like, "Oh, the Cowboys didn't stop the run, but they held Saquon in check." It was just Jalen Hurts doing his
and
thing.
run and QB scrambles are two. I
Yeah,
don't ever put those in the same
yeah,
category.
same
That's why when
thing.
we talked about the Commanders' run game, like the Commanders' run game wasn't good. Jaden Daniels was just great. You know what I'm saying? Like QB scrambles is a different thing. You need contain. You need edge rushers for that because you can't scramble if Mike is coming at you on the edge. He's gonna hawk you down. And that's kind of what was missing in that situation. But all in all, they still did a great thing. Like outside of Jalen Hurts just making it happen with his legs, something that we haven't seen in a while, in a couple years actually, like just doing long scrambles like that. They pretty much did their thing. Like if CD, like literally, if CD catch a couple more balls, this is probably a different game. We probably talking even more highly about the Cowboys.
So, what was your first impression of the Eagles? Well, like, what was your first impression of the defending champion Eagles in their first game after winning the Super Bowl?
My first impression was that they lost a decent amount of depth and a decent amount of contributors. I still think they're one of the best. They're the best roster in the league, but that's based off the top end talent. A lot of the defensive pieces, C.J. Gardner-Johnson gone, Josh Sweat gone, Milton Williams gone, Darius Slay gone. Like the edge, Brandon Graham retired. Like the edge rush is pretty much non-existent. Where you need a leap from Nolan Smith, and then you got Jalen Hunt and Ojomo. Like we don't know what they're gonna be. Like I think they will be good. Like by midseason, I think they will be good. But I think for the first half of the season, we gotta ease into it. You gotta let them get there. Obviously, cornerback 2 is an issue. Literally, Adoree Jackson was getting fried. Swap him out for Jacorian Bennett. First play, Jacorian Bennett pass interference. Like they still have that problem like they had of old. Safety is kind of an issue. Cooper Dean is good, but he plays nickel, sometimes plays safety. But over the top, it's still a little fuzzy. Zach Bond still played great last night. Jahad Campbell played great too. But between edge rush and corner, they could be susceptible to pass plays as we've seen last night. So I think that's going to be an issue until they fix it. And I think they will fix it. I just thought early on there'd be some struggle in showing that the depth is not there and that if you don't got your best players out there, it's going to be a little bit more tougher overnight.
I think the Eagles definitely have some concerns, but when you have Howie Roseman as your GM, you have to have some confidence that he will fix that. I think he's probably the best general manager at making moves on the margin. He saw they had a problem at edge rusher in the first game, and he immediately Zadarius Smith, like 12 hours later, Zadarius Smith off the street. He had 9 sacks last year, a high pressure rate. They immediately fixed that. He's not going to watch the whole season go by and watch the CB2 situation be this bad and not go get someone, whether that's an actual CB2 or that's someone like Denzel Ward to be their CB1 and then slot Quinyon Mitchell at CB2. And I say Denzel Ward because I saw somebody on Twitter say that. But I think you've been saying that too. This dude I follow on Twitter, his name Will. But yeah, I feel like they have like clear weaknesses on this team. They're not the same team as last year. Right now, at least, they're not as good as they were last year. But I do trust Howie Roseman to fill in the margins so they can be at the level that they will be. Well, they can be at a similar level that they were last year. So yeah, I think Jalen Hurts. He was pretty dynamite in that first half. I think I think throughout the whole game he made like good decisions. Didn't put the ball in harm's way. He wasn't overly aggressive. Like again, didn't put the ball in harm's way. In the second half, I feel like you saw more of like the struggles to read the field, not great against the blitz. Like some of his weaknesses showed in the second half. But again, he didn't turn the ball over. And when Eberflus got more creative and start like disguising blitz and sending more pressure at him, that's when the offense struggled. I just can't like after what I watched last year, I can't like be overly like critical or like be like, oh, this is a big problem. The Eagles need to fix this. I think Jalen Hurts can have the same year he had last year and they win a Super Bowl. Like that because
I don't think so. I don't, for the simple fact that you're not gonna win you're not gonna like winning the Super Bowl and having the worst pass offense is like, okay, all right. But going back to back having a worst pass offense, I don't think you could do that. And that also goes inside with the odds that Saquon Barkley is going to have 2,000 yards on the ground again. So like you had the worst pass offense, but you had basically the best or second best running offense. You know what I'm saying? So that still puts you close to a top 10 offense. I don't think Saquon Barkley is giving you 2K again.
It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard for me to like to fathom the fact like I feel like if Saquon doesn't get to that level, like maybe like 1,500 to 2,000 yards, it's because defenses are so down in on them, and then that opens up the passing game for Jalen Hurts. That's why I feel like it'll be a little bit of a trade off.
But we saw that kind of last night, and Jalen Hurts made the plays. They just weren't passing plays.
Yeah.
Outside of the deep shot to Jahan, everything was pretty much at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
And that helped because it moved the chains, kept the ball in play, kept the time running, and everything was in field. And then he was using his legs and whatnot. But if you tell me he's going to play like that every single game, then maybe. But I don't think you could. A.J. Brown is finicky. You know what I'm saying? Like, Devontae Smith ain't going to say nothing. It's whatever. But A.J. Brown, we know how you could get. Now you end up trading A.J. Brown because he causing too much stir up in the locker room. You don't know. Like, we don't know what it's looking like. Jalen Carter, first time on the field, spit on Dak Prescott. And it's not because Dak Prescott's some holy grail. But, again, this is a quarterback. This is national TV, first game of the year. Can't do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just can't do that. So, like, what if something like that happened again? Like, the margins are too slim this year for them to think that they could do exactly what they did last year without the requisite depth that they did have also last year. I think it has to be a little different. I think you have to rely on Jalen Hurts a little bit more just for the simple, like, have him, like, elevate just a little bit just for the simple fact that everything around him just got slightly worse. Like, I need him to, like, he can't have 2,900 yards this year. Like, they got slightly worse on defense. I need you to be a little bit slightly better on offense. So instead of 29, give me 33. You give me 33, then we talking because now it kind of bridges the gap a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. That's a fair point. Yeah, I should have considered that for sure. But yeah, I think ultimately though that they'll be all right. They got a big matchup against the Chiefs coming up, but the Chiefs defense ain't looking too hot, and the Eagles still offensive line is still great. And if the Chiefs aren't able to create pressure, Jalen Hurts is gonna be able to sit in that pocket and scramble or find AJ Brown or find Devontae Smith. So I picked the Chiefs in that game, but I'm probably gonna pick the Eagles depending on the health of Xavier Worthy and obviously Rashee Rice. I didn't know at that point that Rashee Rice was going to be going for the first 6 weeks of the season because they were still deliberating on when he was going to miss time, stuff like that. So most likely I'm going to be picking the Eagles. But that's going to do it for our recap of the first 2 games of the NFL season. We will be back probably Sunday night with a recap of week 1. And then after Monday night, we'll recap Monday night and do power rankings and stuff like that. We're going to be trying to be super consistent this NFL season. We got to talk NBA pretty soon here and NBA draft. Trying to balance all this because we got a lot going on in our lives, and school is crazy right now, even though it just started. So we appreciate all the support. If you made it this far, make sure you, again, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and follow us on our social media platforms up at the top of the screen. Great start to the NFL season. We love y'all, and we are out.